Alright, this is our literal equations 2.0 video. I've already done one literal equations video, so make sure you've watched that video already. In that video we talk about what a literal equation is, what it looks like, and what our goal is for literal equations. In this video I'm going to give you a second method you can use to solve literal equations. Some of you might find this method a little bit easier or more straightforward than what was in the previous video, and if you do, feel free to use it. If not, you can use the method that you learned in the original literal equations video. So let's get started. Here we have a literal equation, y equals mx plus b. You should also notice this is the equation for slope-intercept form. Our goal here is to take this equation and solve it for x. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a do-undo chart. So we look at the do column, we say, okay, what's being done to our variable x? And when you look at what's being done to your variable x, you have to use the order of operations. So you start with anything that might be in parentheses, then you go exponents, then multiplication, division, then addition and subtraction. So the first thing that's being done to x is that it's being multiplied by m. So multiplication comes before addition. So we multiply by m, and then we add b. We work our way down the do side using the order of operations. Start by multiplying by m, then we add b. Now undo is just like it sounds. We want to do the opposite. So to undo multiplying by m, we divide by m. To undo adding b, we subtract b. And then we're going to work our way up the undo column. And what I mean by that is, rather than starting at the top with dividing by m, we start with subtracting b. Well, what do we start with? Start with the other side of the equal sign. Whatever is on the opposite side of the equal sign from the variable you're trying to isolate. We're going to start with that. So we start with y, we subtract b, and then we divide by m, and that is equal to x. Simple as that. Here's a second example. This is the formula for the area of a trapezoid. It is the area equals 1/2 times the height times base 1 plus base 2. We're going to solve this equation for base 1 or for b1. So we start by asking ourselves what's being done to b1. Well, the first thing that comes in our order of operations is parentheses, so we look inside the parentheses. Inside the parentheses, the first thing that's being done is we're adding b2. Then we move outside the parentheses. We've got the h out front, which means we are multiplying by h. And we're also multiplying by the 1/2. Remember, when there is no operation sign, when you've got variables next to each other or a number next to a variable, it's multiplying. So starting with b1, working through the order of operations, we have adding b2, multiplying by h, and then multiplying by 1/2. Now to undo these, we would subtract b2, divide by h, and then multiply by 2. The initial reaction there might be to divide by 1/2, and that is technically correct. But we don't want to divide by 1/2 because then we've got multiple fraction bars and it becomes more complicated than it should be. So what I want you to remember is that the opposite of multiplying by a fraction, in this case 1/2, is multiplying by its reciprocal, the fraction flipped. So the opposite of multiplying by 1/2 would be multiplying by 2/1, or simply just 2. We're going to work our way up the undo side, starting with what's on the other side of the equal sign. So we start with a. We start by multiplying by 2. Then we divide by h. Then we subtract b2. And that's all equal to b1. So there you have it. So hopefully For those of you that didn't quite understand or didn't quite grasp the first method, you learned to solve literal equations. Hopefully this helps, gives you a second avenue to get to the answer for a literal equation. Doesn't matter to me which method you use whichever one you feel more comfortable with and you've had more success with. As always, make sure you take good notes, and if you have any questions on anything that I did in the video, make sure to ask when you come into class.